welcome to my tutorial about how to draw lions. They are by far the most social cats, and the adult males are especially famous for their majestic manes. Beautiful animals to draw. I have 3 fairly different drawings of lions prepared, portraying males, females, and playful cubs. So let me start showing you how to draw them. Thank you. First of all, we are going to draw the very basic skeletal structure, starting with the head. Of course, it is up to you with which body part you start with, but I simply choose to start with the head. We draw an oval shape that is fairly long, like so, and also tilted by 45 degrees roughly. The reason is, when cats look straight forward, they simply have their skull orientated that way. We draw the center lines too, which are helpful to get the details and positions right, and also the general orientation of the head. Over here too, we halve it, and when we look at the shape directly from the front, it would simply look like a circle. Another thing we need to do is draw a line from this point here, and has a very small angle to this center line. And this is going to be where the eyes will end up at. Slightly above this intersection, we drop in a triangle shape for the nose, which is fairly large and also slightly stretched to the sides. Draw a small line downwards and then form a upside down Y shape. Can have a slight curvature too. And draw these round shapes for the cheeks that are still connected with the corners of the triangle, like so. And then the chin, which actually is drawn over the oval shape. We don't perfectly stay inside, but here and there we subtract a little bit from it, like over here, or we add some, like over here, around the forehead. To draw the nose bridge, at first curve around just slightly, and then draw a straight line until we get in touch with this eye line. And the same on the other side too. And these will be the positions of the eyes. An optional thing you can do is, from the inner eye corner, we draw this line here, this curve, going around, which is helpful for getting the overall shape of the face correct. As for the ears, we draw these lines that are almost parallel to the center line. They diverge just slightly, and all the way back here we have the inner ear corners. Draw at first a straight line, and then curve around. Their ears are very round, and leave a small gap. We don't completely touch the oval shape, and here will be a slight corner. The other ear points away from us, and therefore we see the back side. It forms kind of a triangular shape and is slightly angled. It is not straight up like so. Let's move on to the rest of the body, starting with the neck, which starts at the bottom back of the head. This lion is supposed to be attentive and therefore has his head slightly raised. He is standing straight up and we are looking at him from the side. So here we have the shoulder, and we're gonna continue with the spine. It can have a slight curvature, and the length will be about 2.5 times the head length. So about this length here. It doesn't have to be super exact. The head length, which is slightly more since we are looking at this head from the side, is our general length unit in order to compare all the body parts. I'm drawing the shoulder blades, which are able to move independently from each other, and therefore we have 2 lines. They're shorter than the head length, and also, by the way, the neck is shorter too. And when a lion is standing straight with its front legs, therefore the feet are right under the shoulders, the shoulder blades are going to be angled forwards, while the upper leg bones are gonna be angled backwards, right back below the shoulders. And this will make the chest appear like it's sticking out. The length of this bone here is slightly longer than the shoulder blade, but still shorter than the head length. And then we're gonna go ahead and draw the lower leg, which is about the same length. Here we have the ankle, and then this middle part of the foot. And here we drop in the paw, which I just simplify as a simple line, and we care about the details later. The same thing for the other leg too. Just one thing I have to keep in mind is the perspective. So the back is supposed to be our eye level, and therefore the feet are gonna be apart a distance. Another optional thing you can do is to sketch in the rib cage that is curving from the knees all the way up towards the spine, the middle of the spine. It is not mandatory, but can be helpful in order to get the shape of the overall body right. As for the back legs, I draw the hip, which curves to the back. The thing about the hip is that it is a singular bone, and therefore it cannot move its two sides independently from each other. And the general width of the shoulders and hip, if you look at the skeleton from above, is not all that wide. Now, what you can do if you already know where the ground level is, and you already know where you want to have your feet at, then you can simply draw your feet at first, and then work yourself upwards. So I draw this line from the hip, and decide that here I'm gonna have this foot further to the back, and the other one that is further away from us, slightly to the front, like so. Then the bones connected to the ankles are gonna be slightly longer than compared to the front legs. And the angle of these is predefined because it depends on where the foot is standing in relation to the hip. If it's further at the front, this angle here will be smaller, while this bone here is more vertical. The ankles will leave a little bit of the bone sticking out. And the rest is a simple matter of connecting the dots. Both the upper and lower leg are about the same length as the head. And while the lion is standing straight up, the legs are mostly stretched out. Not all the way, but mostly. And there we go. We can just guess the positions, and it will be mostly right. Last but not least, the tail, of course, which is just here continuing the curvature of the spine downwards, like so. At least that is the case when it is relaxed, and often it has this curvature going back up again. And the length of the tail is about 2 to 2.5 times the head length, so very similar to the spine. In order to show you good looking and more accurate results, I have also the in-between steps prepared beforehand. And so let's continue by adding more details. Again, with what you start is up to you. I like to start with the nose, and here we have two curves going into the middle and forming this kind of curved Y shape with a small distance, and then we create this corner going all the way up until we almost touch the upper edge of this triangle, curve around and form this sort of S shape until we connect with the corner of the triangle. We make everything dark in between, and this shade also continues all the way up here because there's still a small gap. The same on the other side, but much narrower, like so. And don't forget the line here in the middle. The upper edge starts between the nostril and this corner here, and is formed like a slight wave, like here. And the distance between it and the nostrils is very narrow. Sometimes it's basically non-existent. Let's continue with the mouth, and this time we can add even more curvature if we want to, and also have this dark spot in case we want to slightly show some lips. Here I just mostly follow the curves that we already drew before, but here I stop, make some slight indications of the cheek shape, and down here I have this dark spot, which is fairly common among big cats, and it curves all the way down the jaw. The chin slightly curves inwards, and then we mostly follow the shape from before. We draw the nose bridge on this side, but here on this side we mostly leave it open. Let's form the face a little bit over here. To draw the eyes, what you can do is start with the upper lid. Its shape will depend on its mood, if it's like wide awake and has its eyes wide open, or if it's more relaxed, then it will be a bit flatter. Here I just want to have it slightly curved, and also we drop in the actual eye, which is a circle cut off by the upper lid. The pupil is round, unlike smaller cats, And the lower lid is basically like an outline. Curves inwards like so. And we also have this dark area that curves inwards. So therefore, it reaches over this line from the nose bridge. Some extra details here on the other side, and then we have the eye. We basically do the same thing on the other side, but it is hidden behind the nose bridge, and therefore we can barely see it. You can also add some extra detail, like here, this kind of notch right along the middle of the forehead. Or this kind of L shape, those two sides that point towards this corner here of the eye and the nose corner. Or maybe a little bit right here behind the eyes. Let's not forget about the whiskers. So here we have these rows, 3 rows of dots, right underneath the nostril that mostly follow the curvature of the cheeks. Here and there can be some extra dots, however, and then we draw the whiskers themselves. In a relaxed state, they are mostly just hanging down, although some of them will also curve upwards. A few of them even can be kind of squiggly, maybe it got messed up during playtime. Let's continue by sketching in the mane itself. At first, I'm gonna let the forehead continue to the back, and then draw short lines for the base of the mane. At first it's gonna have fairly short hair, and you have this round outline. And right below the ears we have the hair going longer and longer and follow this downwards curve, like so. Then I draw this hair right in front of the ear, of the left ear, and go to the back like so, although the orientation of the hair could be different. And the hair is so long that it even shows up on the other side. And also I want it to be in front of this ear and stretch down like so. There can be a few long hairs of the ear itself and a darker spot where the ear becomes deeper. Before we continue with the mane, we need to sketch out the rest of the body. I like to start with the feet, and for those, I'm just sketching out these flat oval shapes, like so. Here, some indications of the toes, but I don't really add much more detail, at least from this position here, because when they're standing, the feet just simply look very simple. Now I construct the legs by having these individual segments that get wider and wider as we climb upwards. Lions are also fairly muscular, not as muscular as tigers for example, but still you have to make sure that the legs are fairly broad and strong looking. All the way up until we get to the shoulders, and the shoulders can stick out quite significantly, especially if the weight is focused on just one of the legs. I went ahead and sketched out the other leg too. It's not that different, and also I did not draw it fully because this part will be hidden by the torso. Something you shouldn't forget, however, is that the front legs additionally have the carpal pads right at the back, slightly below the ankles, and the dew claws, which are on the inner side of the foot and are basically like our thumbs. Now the back legs, starting with the feet again. Nothing really different about this here, just once again flat oval shape with the indications of toes. And then we draw this kind of long shape all the way around. And here, at first, we're curving up around the knee. And then you can imagine a circle sitting right here as we curve around it and form this S shape, like so, and therefore form this corner right at the ankle. The rest is fairly simple, just as usual, all the way up until we get to the hip, like so. I did the same for the other side, and what we need to make sure is that this here is not a corner but a continuous line. The neck is just simply a connection between the top of the head and the shoulders, and also the chest, which goes all the way up behind the jaw. We have the shoulder here, curving down until we reconnect with the curvature of the spine. There can be a slight hill around here where the hip is located, and from this top we have a slight downward slope. It is not horizontal, but curves down ever so slightly until we transition over to the tail. The base of the tail is fairly wide, but then it gets more and more narrow. Follow the curvature from the sketch before, and here I want to make sure that the width gets smaller. And their tail is not fluffy at all, except for the tip. They have a little tuft, which you can draw, let me move a little bit, by at first having almost kind of a circular shape at the base, and then on one side you create this S-curve, while on the other side you simply continue the curve from before, and you have this kind of flame shape. Now that of course is not the only kind of shape that this tuft can form, but this is a fairly simple and easy one to do. As for the chest and belly, at first we just simply follow the curvature of the ribcage. It can be a line going up here and have a slight corner. And the belly, of course, depends on how well fed the lion is. So it could curve up like so, and that doesn't look healthy. Or maybe had a bit too much. But in a normal state, it would sag just slightly downwards like so. And here I want to have a curve coming from the knee and be in front of the stomach right here. Alright, now it is time to continue the mane. Over here, I'm gonna draw these long hairs all the way until the back, and the hair gets shorter and shorter. And on this side, I also want to have very, very long hair that hangs down until we get in between the legs. They can also have a little tuft right here at the front knee. It depends on the lion subspecies. Speaking of, the size of the mane first of all depends on the age, of course, but also on the subspecies. Some manes just simply end right where the shoulder begins, but some of them reach over the shoulders and don't just end in between the legs, but cover the whole belly. We are going to go a midway and therefore just cover half of the shoulders, curving down like so until we connect with the other side. Here and there you can add some extra details like the shape of the rib cage, or here the angles of the back legs. Once again, I have the in-between step prepared beforehand, and it looks much nicer in my opinion. And this is the finished version, fully outlined and colored. As always, the style you draw your lion in is up to you, so I'm not going to explain too many details. Well, let me turn off the shading so I can show you the coloration of the fur. They have white or almost white fur on the belly, the mouth, chin, the upper edge of the nose, around the eyes, the inner sides of the legs, and the toes. The rest of the body is basically light or medium light brown, with the back and some features in the face being slightly darker. The mane is darker than the rest of the fur, and depending on the kind of lion, can have a gradient to a very dark brown. Also, go ahead and use shades and light to indicate the shape of muscles and bones underneath the skin. Okay, let us move on to the next lion drawing. The second pose is going to have much more action in it. And while the time-lapse of its making of process runs, I'm going to tell you some interesting facts about lions. As I stated at the beginning of the video, lions are the most social cat species. Most of them live together in so-called prides, which usually consist of about 15 and can have up to 30 members. Not all lions live in prides though. When they leave their pride, they become nomads. Most nomadic lions are males, traveling alone or in pairs. Sometimes females become nomadic too, however. On average, they spend several years as nomads before they join another pride or establish their own. Male lions normally defend the pride's territory, while the females do most of the hunting. The lion is called the king of the jungle, although they live in grasslands and plains. That title might have originated from an incorrect association between Africa and jungles. Today, all lion subspecies are endangered due to poaching and the expansion of human civilization. The total number has halved compared to 25 years ago, with less than 25,000 remaining in Africa and only around 600 in India, isolated in just one national park. Coexisting with large predators such as lions is difficult for villagers, especially if they cannot afford the means to keep them away. The easiest way for them is simply to shoot them. Driving down these costs and providing more education about these animals is an essential key to protect these endangered species. If done right, villages manage to coexist next to these large cats just fine, and might even become the lions' guardians against poachers. So here we go, a leaping lioness probably hunting her prey. A very dynamic pose with the hind legs stretched out from the jump and the front legs reaching out, ready to catch their target. I chose to use backlighting just for extra dramatic effect. From this angle, you're also able to see the underside of her front paw. The paw pads are quite large and usually have a dark color. A simple way to draw the feet is to use ovals within ovals. At first, to sketch out the orientation of the toe, and then for the paw pad. The biggest one in the middle has a more complicated shape, but you can maybe imagine an extremely fat M shape, if that makes sense. If you want to draw the mouth open, draw at first some kind of S curve, down towards the mouth corner. From there, you abruptly change direction following the jaw and slightly curve up at the front. The canines are huge, sitting on their own kind of mounds. These plus the incisors at the front are the first teeth to show up when they open their mouths. Alright, I have a third drawing for you, and that one doesn't just have one lion, but a whole small family. Here it is, a romantic sunset at the beach, featuring the pink lion from Steven Universe. Since he is a cartoon character, I drew his face and mane in a softer way. But I made sure not to overdo it to prevent going down too far the uncanny valley. I thought it would be a cute idea to draw him a partner, and as you can see, their offspring is having fun in his magical portal mane. And by the way, there will be an extra video showing the drawing process of this picture in a time-lapse, and it is going to be fully narrated. So stay tuned and let me tell you what the thought and work process behind this drawing was. In case you didn't know yet, this video is part of a tutorial series about big cats. Tigers already have been released, and snow leopards plus cheetahs are soon to follow. I would be extra happy if not only I successfully motivated you to draw these beautiful cats, but also to learn more about them. That is why I structure my tutorial videos the way I do. Not just as mere how to draw videos, but I want to provide additional education and a little bit of entertainment too. Well, I hope that extra work is not pointless. And so, let me thank you a lot for watching. As always, if you have any questions or constructive feedback, then please leave a comment down below. And for more information and links, please check out the description of this video. There's quite a lot in there. Alright then, have fun drawing.